It's a very good evening to you all and welcome to the main news. My name is Natasha Burnett.
And my name is Farai Gwaze, alongside Nobu Mawungwa on the Sign Language Desk. Let's take a look at our headlines for the evening.
Invictus Energy gas discovery in Mzarabani to open new horizons for the economy.
The High Court nullifies nomination of recalled Triple C members as candidates for this Saturday's by-elections.
Business welcomes government's decision to extend the multi-currency regime. Government announced the extension of the multi-currency regime this year. Government says Invictus Energy and its partners have discovered gas in Zimbabwe through the ongoing exploration activities in Muzarabani.
Briefing journalists in Harare this Thursday, the Minister of Mines and Mining Development, Honorable James Soda, said the discovery will have a positive impact on the economic and social development of the country.
The government of Zimbabwe is pleased to announce that Geo Associates and its partners, Invictus Energy and One Gas Resources, have successfully declared a gas discovery in Mzarabani through the ongoing exploration activities in the Mzarabani area. This is a major discovery and represents one of the most significant developments in the onshore oil and gas sector in the Southern African region. Enhance its energy security, create jobs and opportunities for local communities. We are confident that this discovery will open up new horizons for this country, Zimbabwe.
There is no confirmed discovery of oil as exploration is ongoing.
Both government and investor would want to reiterate that this is a gas discovery. We have not yet confirmed the discovery of oil, as further exploration, tests and evaluations are still ongoing. The discovery pronounced will definitely change the economic landscape of this country.
Geo Associates Director Mr. Paul Chimboza said exploration is still ongoing, with indications that commercialization of the product takes 18 months.
The two wells, Mukuyu 1 and Mukuyu 2, are only 7 kilometers apart, and we still have to investigate an area that is close to 100 kilometers by 50 kilometers apart. So this is just the beginning.
According to government, the gas samples meet key international standards, while the company is conducting further appraisal and evaluation work to confirm the size and quality of the gas reservoir. Bruce Shawanda, SABC News, Harare.
Botswana, Namibia and Zimbabwe are working on modalities to scrap passport requirements for their citizens traveling across the three countries' borders. The development was confirmed in Gaborone, Botswana, where President Emmerson Mnangagwa joined his Botswana counterpart, President Eric Mokgweetsi Masisi, for the Kusi Ideas Festival this Thursday. Chief Correspondent Ruben Badwe has more.
Sea winds saw the Portuguese, the Dutch, and the Arab sailors using the southerly winds to travel up and down the African coastline, doing business with African people. Following the African Union vision of 2063, 10 years ago, the new crop of African leaders say the next 40 years should see a more coordinated, united, developed, and borderless Africa. The Kenyan-based The Nation Media Group chairman, Wilfred Kiboro, enunciated the vision of Kusi Ideas Festivals that dovetails with the Vision 2063 of the African Union.
The purpose of starting the Kusi Festival of Ideas was to actually provide a forum or a platform where, as Africans, we can sit and discuss about issues that face Africa and to chart the way forward for the Africa. It was from the recognition that building Africa that we want, the Africa of the future, is not just a work for the governments, but for our collective responsibilities as Africans, irrespective of where we work and what we do.
Botswana President Dr. Mokgweetsi Eric Masisi says, "Thank you, Kenya, for removing visas to all African visitors to that land, and sets a new traveling arrangement with the two sister republics of Namibia and Zimbabwe.
Have been given impetus by policy action taken by some sister nations like Kenya, who have announced the intention to abolish visa requirements from Africans traveling to Kenya. I guess speaking for ourselves, President Mnangagwa, the ball is in your court and mine. We, on our part, have since April this year initiated an even easier movement between ourselves and neighboring Namibia, by which citizens of both nations are able to travel between the two countries using only their national identity cards as a travel document. This has clearly reduced the burden of acquisition of passports for travel to either country. It is our hope that with time it will become a feature of the subcontinent and eventually the continent as a whole. And yes, once again, President Mnangagwa, I'm happy to tell you that I have begun the consultations on my side. I wish you begin on yours, so that next after Namibia will be a Zimbabwe ID holder traveling seamlessly to Botswana, and a Botswana citizen with an ID commonly known as Omang traveling seamlessly to Zimbabwe.
The President, Comrade Emmerson Dabuzwa Mnangagwa, concurred with his host, President Masisi.
I'm talking to my brother here after he was making a statement here. And we have agreed, I can announce it, we agreed that from now on, we shall instruct our officials that there should be no question of how to enter Zimbabwe or to enter Botswana. That should be cleared.
President Emmerson Dabuzwa Mnangagwa also spoke on how the sanctions albatross has forced Zimbabweans to think out of the box.
Most of the countries in the north, when they talk about Zimbabwe or dream about Zimbabwe, they only dream about putting sanctions on that country. So it also makes us think outside the box to beat those sanctions. And this is why our economy is growing at the rate of perhaps 5% or so on a yearly basis. It is because we've looked internally and they say, under these circumstances where the global north would want to strangle us, how do we survive? And we are surviving.
Just before flying home, the President, Comrade Emmerson Dabuzwa Mnangagwa, spoke to journalists about the decision to remove travel barriers among the three sisterly republics.
It is possible to say that we should have done it earlier, but the point is we've now done it.
All right.
So we should not cry that we've not done it earlier, but we've done it now. And as it is between Zimbabwe, Botswana, and Namibia, we are almost now complete, so that there's a free movement between ourselves.
So the Kusi Ideas Festivals that end tomorrow will see African intellectuals, leaders, and opinion makers fine-tune their developmental agenda as they move towards Vision 2063 and goals which are set. 40 years on from to date, Africa will have come out of age. Some say life begins at 40. Ruben Barwe, ZBC News, Gaborone, Botswana.
Meanwhile, President Emmerson Mnangagwa is back home after attending the presidential roundtable at the Kusi Ideas Festival in Gaborone. The festival, which was co-hosted by Kenya's Nation Media Group and the government of Botswana, saw the heads of state discussing issues affecting African countries with focus on various issues, which included climate change, agriculture, science, and value addition. The President was received at the Robert Gabriel Mugabe International Airport by Vice President, General Retired Constantino Chiwenga, service chiefs, and senior government officials.
Meanwhile, the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, ZEC, says it has withdrawn ballot papers in 8 constituencies which have been affected by the latest High Court ruling that barred recalled CCC members from contesting Saturday's by-election.
Its official record CCC candidates who had filed their nomination papers on 7 November will not have their names appearing on the ballot paper come Saturday by elections. This is after ZEC acted in compliance with the High Court ruling that nullified the candidate's nomination following CCC Interim Secretary General Sengezo Chawangu's application. In a statement, ZEC Chief Elections Officer Utwele Slaigwana confirmed that they are going to reprint ballots for Binga North, Lupane East, Cowdrey Park, Bulawayo South, Lobengula Magwegwe, Beitbridge West, Nketa, Popoma Mzilikazi constituencies in compliance with the court order. He said the reprinting process will not affect the number of ballots and is hopeful the job will be done before polling. However, the ballot reprinting process will not affect Mavuku Tafara constituency as the record CCC candidate Mr. Munyaradzi Kufa-Kutizwi was not cited as a respondent in the court ruling. Bruce Chawanda, SABC News, Harare.
The decision from ZEC comes after the High Court of Zimbabwe has nullified the nomination of recalled CCC members as candidates for the December by-elections.
The High Court has this Thursday ruled that the decision by the nomination court sitting in Harare, Bulawayo, Gwanda, Lupane and other locations to receive nomination papers from recalled CCC members on 7 November this year was unlawful, hence set aside. Briefing journalists after the release of the judgment by the High Court, CCC Interim Secretary General Sengezo Chawangu's legal representative, Mr. Ngwani Stole, says that all the recalled candidates will not be allowed to contest in the 9 by-elections.
The High Court has this morning granted the order sought declaring that the nomination of the expelled party's recalled former members on a CCC ticket is invalid. The same will accordingly not participate in the by-elections on Saturday or any date that is going to be proclaimed. A declaration order does not create rights. It states the position of law or fact as of a given date. A declaratory order is, for this reason, not suspended by noting of an appeal. The order granted, being a declaration of rights, will not be suspended by the noting of an appeal.
Meanwhile, the High Court has told Chawangu to effect further recalls.
The High Court, per Justice Chitapi, has also granted an application for interdict to interdict the Interim Secretary from effecting further recalls, pending the finalization of a summons matter which is pending before the High Court of Zimbabwe.
9 National Assembly by-elections will be held this Saturday, and these are in Harare Mavuku Tafara constituency, Beitbridge West, Lupane East, Binga North constituents, and 5 constituencies in Bulawayo, which are Lobengula, Magwegwe, Mpopoma Mzilikazi, Cowdrey Park, Bulawayo South, and Pelandawa. The recorded CCC candidates had filed their nomination papers in all those 9 constituencies. Peter Chivima, ZBC News, Harare.
Zimbabwe is on course to complete Phase 1 of Feruka pipeline upgrading as the country seeks to consolidate its position as a regional fuel distribution hub.
The upgrading of the Feruka pipeline is on track, with the first phase targeted to be completed in March next year. The move is expected to ramp up pumping capacity from 6 million litres a day to 8.3 million litres per day, turning the country into a regional fuel distribution hub. This was revealed by the Petrozimline Limited Managing Director, Mr. Peter Mashkeni, during an interview on the sidelines of the visit at Noik Feruka Depot by the Minister of Energy and Power Development, where he also reviewed the plans to further ramp up pumping capacity to 12 million litres per day under Phase 2 expansion program.
We are currently pushing a volume throughput of 6 million litres per day of either diesel or petrol, and we are basically on an expansion project where we are going to push the capacity to 8.3 million litres per day or 3 billion litres per annum. And most of the equipment for the capacity upgrade is already in place, about 90% of the equipment. We are waiting for the rest to come through, and the project will be concluded by the first quarter of next year.
Manicaland Minister of State for Provincial Affairs and Devolution, Advocate Mishek Mgaza, says the project will have a positive impact in reducing high volumes of trucks on the highways, as well as promoting employment.
The issue of the pipeline has always been something that we have cherished because it has reduced problems with our roads, where we have trucks having to carry the product all along. So we thank the government of Zimbabwe and Mozambique for coming up with this project.
The Minister of Energy and Power Development, Honorable Edgar Moyo, says the upgrading of the pipeline is a sure way of consolidating the country's position as a regional fuel distribution hub.
The expansion is a very important project in terms of our strategic positioning as a hub for fuel in the country. We are looking at dominating this market. We have no apologies about it. We know it is going to facilitate our economic growth.
Zimbabwe seeks to increase its fuel distribution capacity to Zambia, DRC, Malawi and Botswana, among other countries, with feasibility studies being conducted to increase the coverage of the pipeline to other regions. Kenya's Chivushe, ZBC News, Mutare.
The ruling ZANU-PF party has called upon people of Mavuku Tafara constituency in Harare to vote with development in mind come Saturday's by-elections.
With only 2 days before the 9 December by-election, the ZANU-PF leadership this Wednesday held a polling center-based campaign in Mavuku Tafara constituency to drum up support for candidate Pedzai Sakuphanya. The party spokesperson, Ambassador Christopher Mchangwa, pleaded with the electorate to choose a party that has a development track record.
yekunovhota musi weSaturday chikorektai muteere wekumbari because amunangaka ndopandaakuda kuzopinda vari kuchinja mataundi zvamusati mamboona zvinoita kuti chirongwa chaScott ichi chinyatsopfekedzera mukubudira kwakuita Zimbabwe kuri kuitwa navamunangaka ari kupripeya ari kukunhadzirirai ramangwana rakajeka reZimbabwe asi mangwana acho atove nhasi kwazvikuenda ndikandikudze mataundi basa rawo haasi ekupa vanhu dzimba ndikanzi taundi ndeyekupa vanhu dzimba taundi yatofa saka mukaona matriplec vakapinda because pfungwa itiki vane pfungwa dzinenge dzehwisa hadzina kunyatsobengenyuka vakapinda mumataundi vakagofunga kuti kumataundi ndemekugara mudzimba.
He also spoke against corrupt activities, which he said have characterized urban councils.
The party here, 20 years, but kumataundi ndedzimba, sewage haifambi. Unodriva motikari inenge mbudzi ichisvepuka mapotihole mutaundi. Mvura ikanaya motikari yakuda chinhu chekupotawo chirova motikari chinge chikepe. Maresi anongotyorerwa muhomwe havana kana kuti zvavo kutakura.
The Mavuku Tafara constituency seat fell vacant following the recall of Mr. Munyaradzi Kufa Kutizwi of CCC by the party's interim Secretary General, Sengezo Shabangu.
Still in Mavuku, the ZANU-PF leadership this Thursday descended on Mavuku Tafara constituency, to sell its manifesto for the last time ahead of the December 9 by-elections.
This Thursday marked the final day of canvassing for support by political parties, with the ZANU-PF Women's League leading a mobilization drive in Mavuku Tafara constituency.
We are so happy. Tamukatiri Mavuku nasi. Tichifamba tichikampeni. Mavuku yadavira. Ase chichauya mangwana. Ase Mavuku yatiskoti.
From the massive street mobilization, all roads led to number 1 ground, with scores of people getting the opportunity to interact with the aspiring legislator, Comrade Pedzai Sakuphanya. Comrade Sakuphanya assured the people in his constituency of more developmental projects, sentiments echoed by the party's Harare provincial chairperson, Comrade Godwill Masimirembwa.
Vanhu vakuwana mvura uyezve takaita maprojekti muno anobatsira vanhu, anobatsira kubva mayupi kusvika kunana amai wedu. Vazhinji vakudhiraivha, vazhinji vakugona kubika, vazhinji vakugona kugadzira misoro, vazhinji vakugona kuita welding. Aita basa rinoshamisa muno muMavuku Tafara achitevera tsoka dzaPresident Dr. Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. Muno zvibhorani
zvakazara, migwagwa ichiiswa tara, vana vachibhadharirwa ma-school fees, mabhazi achitakura vanhu.
ZANU-PF Treasurer General Comrade Patrick Chinamasa tore into the opposition CCC for stalling progress by keeping the nation in an election mode.
Tiri pano pamusana penyu. Kune biri zhonga kumapato anotipikisa. Wakabatirana matemo chaiwo, matemo nemapfumo. Zvakatipa mukana kuti zuva renhasi tipinde futi mudariro rekuvhoterwa. Kolera tichadi tinoti pasi nekolera. Kansuru yedu yaitongwa neZANU-PF kusvika 2000. Apo makavhotera CCC ndo pakabva pafa Harare province. Kunyange zvazvo iri capital city asi province in terms of service delivery yakafa. Munoona yeyo sewage, unoona apa mwana ari kutamba apa pane china iri kubuda musewage. Marodi, mapotholes, kwese. Asi mari vari kutora kune vanhu antinoti maretsi vachidya vachiisa mhomu. Ndozvo tinofanira kuti tigadzirise izvozvo. Tinogadzirisa kana matipa masimba ekuti titonge muno muHarare.
According to the Electoral Act, campaigning for the by-election ends at midnight today, with polling scheduled for Saturday. Wellington Makonese, ZBC News, Harare.
The following stories are in line with 16 days of activism. Gender mainstreaming in agriculture has been identified as key towards eliminating gender-based violence in agro-based communities.
Mr. and Mrs. Muparadzi from Mashingos Mushandike Irrigation Scheme, who are beneficiaries of a gender action learning system where they were taught to work together in their climate-proofed agriculture project, are a testimony that gender mainstreaming is effective in reducing gender-based violence.
Panyaya yekurima ike zvino tiri kuona kuti pava nepundutso yakanaka nokuti patakatanga kuwana chirongwa ichi togona kugara pasi semhuri takagona kurima tichibudisawo zvinhu. Iye zvino pane zvizhinji zviri pamba pedu zvamunogona kuti mukauya mugona kuona kuti hai chokwadi pava nekubudirira kwakanaka.
Apa takatanga kubatana tichironga pamwe chete semhuri, takabva taisa vision plan yedu yatakava nayo, tikashanda production yataiwana kumunda takaunganidza tikagona kuriga ibhoro pamba pedu. Saka iki zvino tava negardening yatiri kuita pamba pedu, tine mafish ponds atinawo pamba pedu, manursery, mafruit trees.
The Smallholder Irrigation Revitalization Program, which has implemented the Gender Action Learning System, aimed at integrating a gender equality perspective at all stages of agriculture in rural areas for the past 2 years, believes the strategy can help to eliminate GBV at household level.
For our project, we observed that for agricultural productivity to be enhanced, there is need to have gender balance. Gender disparities and structural barriers in terms of norms, beliefs, they really affect the labor attribution that the beneficiaries have to put in their fields.
The Smallholder Irrigation Revitalization Program research reviewed some social norms, practices, attitudes, beliefs and values are barriers to women's inclusion and empowerment and have attributed to inequalities in the distribution of benefits from farming systems. Patience Nyagato, ZBC News.
Still in line with our 16 days of activism, the need to adopt a collaborative approach in ending gender-based violence to center stage when various stakeholders converged to share ideas on tackling the vice in Bulawayo.
Gender-based violence stakeholders, who include Childline Zimbabwe and the Zimbabwe Republic Police, concurred on the need for communities to work together to eradicate the social ill.
Zvobonala ngamandesa uri vana vane vashumisa izvi zvithu vaguma vachivoita zvautsvenya ngamandesa apa mudhini kavatu vavafumakadzi navana vavana vasidzana.
Lati sahlangana njengamapolisa ngabafazi
ukuthi asibumbe nini i-women network ezalwisana lama cases wona la violence against thina abafazi.
Zimbabwe Gender Commission Vice Chairperson Commissioner Obert Machalaga implored the judiciary to give deterrent jail sentences to perpetrators of all forms of gender-based violence.
The Commission will therefore continue to call for the judiciary to give very punitive and deterrent jail sentences to all perpetrators of all forms of gender violences.
Bulawayo Metropolitan Minister of State for Provincial Affairs and Devolution, Honorable Judith Ncube, lamented the continuous perpetration of GBV and child sexual exploitation against women and girls in Zimbabwe.
It is disheartening to note that the issue of GBV and child marriage continues to be perpetuated against women and children in Zimbabwe. This is a great concern to me as the minister responsible for Bulawayo Metropolitan Province and as well as government at large.
This year, 16 days of activism against gender-based violence is anchored on the theme Unite, Invest in the Prevention of Violence Against Women and Girls.
Stories you can still expect in tonight's bulletin. Business welcomes government's decision to extend the multi-currency regime. Government announced the extension of the multi-currency regime this year.
And in sports news, a former Highlanders coach Elroy Akpe expresses an interest in rejoining the team. Stay tuned, we'll be right back with more.
Nana Rhoda, will you please tell us the story of how you met Papa? Since it's Christmas, I will give it to you as a Christmas gift. Aww. Falling in the pool was the time that I realized I fell in love.
This is the right choice, Zimbabwe.
The season of happiness is upon us at OK Stores. Get your 2 kg Cookmore white rice for just $2.50, 1 liter Denderi Citro for just 90 cents, 2 kg Surf washing powder at $4.10, 8-inch Christmas fruitcake for just $28, 1.25 liter Chibuku for just 95 cents. Christmas is here. Kisimusi yashika. Ikisimusi isifikile. OK, my happy place.
The board, management and staff of the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation wish to extend its warmest congratulations to the Minister of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, Honorable Dr. Jenfan Muswere, on attaining his second doctorate degree and graduating with a Doctor of Philosophy degree in Development Studies. His tireless pursuit of knowledge and his passion for understanding the complexities of development have culminated in this remarkable milestone. His profound insights and academic accomplishments inspire us all, and we eagerly anticipate the transformative contributions he will continue to make in our society. Congratulations, Makorokoto Amhlope.
In the warm embrace of my nurturing mother, I was introduced to her cherished choice of beverage. Through every joy and challenge, it became our go-to. Now that I can make my own choices, I choose to pass on that love to the next generation. I love you, Mom.
This is the right choice, Zimbabwe.
Alcohol may be hazardous to health if consumed to excess. The operation of machinery or driving after the consumption of alcohol is not advisable. Not for sale to persons under the age of 18 years. Here's your chance to win your own piece of land. Enter the Gold Blend Land of Gold promotion and stand a chance to win one of 3 residential stands. All you have to do is buy one 750ml bottle of Gold Blend Standard or Gold Blend number 9 whiskey. Look for the sticker with your unique code on the bottle top. Send the code as instructed on the sticker and you could be the proud winner of your own residential stand. But that's not all. There's more. 10 refrigerators, 10 gas stoves, and lots of t-shirts, caps, and whiskey glasses. There will be 3 draws during the promotion, which
Welcome back. Youth's role in spearheading the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and contributing to the national economic development as well advancing the Africa Union's Agenda 2063 was underlined at the International Volunteer Day commemorations held in Harare this Thursday.
The International Youth Volunteer Day commemorations in Harare were an ideal opportunity to encourage youths to dedicate their time in helping communities they live in and countries develop. UN Resident Coordinator Mr. Edwin Callon, who himself started his career as a volunteer, reminded the youths that they are the engine of future national economic growth and the drivers of sustainable global development.
To accelerate the implementation of this roadmap, we have come up with this inaugural Joint International Volunteers Day and Youth Engagement on SDGs events. This event aims to create a collaborative space for developing a youth-led SDG roadmap and an inclusive platform for accelerating the achievement of the SDGs in Zimbabwe. In this regard, the UN Secretary General's 6 transition frameworks that highlights manageable pathways to accelerate SDGs progress within and across countries can be critical to consider in your deliberations.
Permanent Secretary in the Office of the President and Cabinet, Mr. Albert Chikondo, said government recognizes the important role youths are going to play towards the attainment of the country's Vision 2030.
To demonstrate our unwavering commitment to the youth, the government of Zimbabwe has adopted a pro-youth policy, ensuring your active participation in key decision-making processes. A notable example is the amendment of our constitution to allocate parliamentary seats specifically for youth representation.
The youths were encouraged to fully realize their potential and leave an indelible mark on their work as they represent over 60% of the national population. Owen Mandova, ZBC News, Harare.
The commissioning of Radio Bukalanga in a Plumtree this Thursday is expected to empower the community and spearhead locally driven development through universal access to information. More on the following report.
Atohana kwazo kuti tichishadu changina mumepo achalonchewa official achahugwa nekwendayo.
The commissioning of Radio Bukalanga this Thursday has been welcomed by the Bukalanga community as it to enhance the preservation of their culture and heritage. The day also signals a new era for communities in Wulilima, Mangwe and Matobo district.
Kuti tizive kuti chinohakika kuti tilime kene tipfuwe takamela titechini tokuwana ipapa pa Bukalanga FM.
Ndende kuti tatingani vanhu vakabwatisiwa vasingazivi kane kuti vayapo koga ndestation yechitovonengani zvose zvinhu zvedu zvobva pachena
tohana kwazo teziva kuti tingapembedza titini chikalanga chataka tisingazive kuti tingachibata chini kusana kwave neRadio Bukalanga.
Our community radio is going to be an arena that galvanizes and amplifies community voices, rallying them towards development efforts and the development agenda.
The Bukalanga community was held for spearheading the mobilization of equipment and the setting up of the community radio station.
I want to congratulate the people of Bukalanga that you've done well. You've come to host us, and you now have a radio station. I know you have challenges that we are looking into, the issue of advertising, the issue of viability. These are issues that BARS is looking through into with the assistance of the ministry.
I was very impressed by Bukalanga, by the mindset of courage in taking initiative that the Kalanga community is showing, and how they participate in their own development.
The Minister of Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services, Dr. Jenfan Muswere, said the radio station dovetails with the government policy of empowering local communities by ensuring heritage-based broadcasting.
This is one of His Excellency President Idi Mnangagwa's success stories as we journey towards an upper middle income society. But this is one of the key success stories also for media information, publicity and broadcasting services, because under the Second Republic, the changes, the modernization and the reforms brought about by a new licensing framework. Priority of our ministry is heritage-based broadcasting, which also includes the licensing framework, which takes care of diversity, which also takes care of community radio stations. But also of importance is the importance of communication of an informed, knowledgeable society in nation building.
Radio Bukalanga is part of 14 community radio stations that were licensed by the Second Republic, with 10 already operating in different parts of the country. Yolanda Moyo, ZBC News, Plumtree.
And now we cross over to our Montrose studio, where Arthur C. Evans is on standby with more news from that end. Good evening, Arthur. Over to you.
Well, thank you so much to the team at Pockets Hill and to you, Natasha. Well, it's just days before the nation goes to the by-election polls, and the electorate from Bulawayo constituency say that they will vote for a people-centered and development-orientated leader to represent them.
For this weekend, the 9th of December, voters in Culture Park say they are going to vote for a leader who is not alien to them, but one who understands their plight and is capable of working towards development of the constituency.
Umuntu esingamvotela ufuna ube umuntu ongakhethi bantu asebenze ndawonye labantu kube lobumbano emphakathini.
Besicela umuntu ozasimela eParliament asikhangelele konke lelo luhlupho esilitshoyo ngoba sithwele nzima, abantwana bahamba imango emide njalo abantwana bagcwele kabasebenzi bathwele nzima, yikho besibamba inkunzi kunye lathi abazali sithwele nzima.
Sikhangele ukuthi sibe lo muntu osikhangelayo njengeCountry Park. Hayikhona ukuthi umuntu angaqala into echiyele endleleni.
Toda munhu anoteerera zvinhu zvinodiwa navanhu. Tikamudza zvichemo zvedu kuti tikamuudzawo kuti lesese zvakaita muno muCountry Park, ndinoona kuti tine Country Park high school iyo, tinongori one government school one. Vanhu vazhinji havakwanisi kuvhota kuendesa vana vavo kuma-private.
Chatiri kuda kuna MP ari kuuya ndechekuti pave nemaprojects. Maprojects atiri kutaura ndeyekuti vechidiki vaone zvekuita.
Culture Park constituency is among the 5 constituencies in Bulawayo that will be having by-elections, with 2 candidates vying for the National Assembly seat, namely Comrade Ata Mujay, representing ZANU-PF, and Mr. Vusumuzi Shirwa of Triple C.
Addressing party supporters in the Mpopo Mamzilikazi constituency who gathered at Kampo Primary School, Vice President Comrade Kembo Campbell Dugish Mohadi said the ZANU-PF government is working round the clock to address water challenges in Bulawayo, adding that resources are being availed for the completion of the Kwai Shangani Lake and the pipeline project. That should be the final answer to the challenge.
We are doing it here, Ematebeleland North. Asaki Dam, siyakho ulwandle. It's a lake. Ulwandle oluncane. Ngoba amanzi angikhona yiwo amanzi azafika lapha koBulawayo. Esiza koBulawayo emgwaqweni endleleni on its way to Bulawayo siyaba sisiba lama stations lapho esivula khona amanzi abantu along the pipeline babe lokukwanisa ukuthi khona balime bathole bavune bathole ukudla. So we'll have a green belt esuka eGwayi esiza koBulawayo. So idamu is about 80% complete.
He said ZANU-PF is keen to rescue Bulawayo from the non-performing crop of legislators and continue with its development trajectory.
Ngani votele ZANU-PF. If you are voting ZANU-PF, livotela intuthuko. You are voting development.
As Bulawayo go to the polls this Saturday, ZANU-PF is gunning for the 5 constituencies that came about following the recall of Citizens Coalition for Change legislators by the party's interim Secretary General, Mr. Sengezo Chabang.
Well, speaking of being people-centered and development-driven, devolution funds continue to transform the communities, and the latest one being that of Ngangu, where the Ngangu Community Library has been rehabilitated, and it is expected to promote research, especially among youths.
Government is continuing with infrastructure restoration works in Ngangu High Density Suburb, which was ravaged by Cyclone Idai in 2019, with the latest development being the rehabilitation of the Ngangu Community Hall.
Community chabatirika zvakanyanya, especially vana vechikoro. Kana vabva kuzvikoro kana vari pa holiday, vanoona nguva yakanaka yekuenda pa library vachiita vachifunda mabhuku, vachiita zvese zvinofanira kuitwa. Zvese ana internet ipapa zvinonga zviripo.
Library chabatsira vana, vachauya nema homeworks avo, vachiitira pano. My research wachauya vachiitira pano.
Hakusisina zvokuchatora mabhuku mahombe aya kufamba nawo wechiresearcha. You can just come pane internet, you research. Since my computers anonga aripo nemalaptop.
Chimanimani Rural District Council Chief Executive Officer Mr. Nehemiah Deure underscored the importance of the infrastructure which was rehabilitated through the devolution funds.
Unomatukuvaka Ngangu high density. Ndo mune vana vedu vakawanda, mune vanhu vakawanda, mune mayouth edu akawanda. Saka tichida kuti vana vedu ivavo vawane vaite research, toda kupromota education 5.0, vana vachiwana access to information.
Government set up community information centers across the country as part of efforts to promote research and innovation, especially in rural communities. Chamuka Charakupa, ZBC News, Chimanimani.
Schools in Guruve district of Mashonaland Central Province have become the latest beneficiaries of government's Computer Lab per School program. Now, the program aims to capacitate learners with skills in information communication technology.
For Ryan Jange and Shalene Varita were both Form 3 pupils at Horseshoe Secondary School, a school in the remote areas of Gurule, having access to ICT gadgets was just but a dream, but now thanks to government's Computer Lab per School program, their dream has become a reality. These two and their fellow learners in other secondary schools in Gurule are optimistic that the ICT gadgets will be a game changer in their studies.
Computers edu vachakushandisawo kuti kuita our researches even makala.
Horseshoe Secondary School head Miss Regina Msindo applauded government's capacitation program.
My parents, they cannot afford to buy my tablets to research, but now that we have the computers,
the Postal and Telecommunications Regulatory Authority of Zimbabwe, POTRAZ, says the ongoing program is a testament of the commitment to bridge the digital divide.
In the digital age,
access to information is paramount, and these computer labs will empower students to acquire the skills necessary for a competitive and evolving job market.
Government remains committed to its mantra of leaving no one and no place behind.
The launch we have witnessed today is a very important milestone towards achieving widespread access to ICT infrastructure in underserved areas of Zimbabwe. Let us continue to work hard to build the Zimbabwe that we all want, and for us to be able to lead from the front.
At least 60 schools in Mashonaland Central Province have benefited from the program, with each school receiving 30 computers, projectors and printers. Government's Computer Lab per School program is being implemented through Portras. Fungai Jachi, ZBC News, Guruve.
From bridging the digital divide to bridging the communication divide between Pockets Hill and Montrose, that's all we have for you from Montrose. My name is Arthur C. Evans.
Thank you so much, Arthur, and the team from that end. Continuous scientific discoveries and person-centric advances in HIV care have helped transform the HIV treatment landscape, assisting people diagnosed with HIV to live a healthy and productive life. Our health editor, Abigail Tembo, caught up with some people who have been living with HIV for over 2 decades and filed this report.
Among delegates attending the 22nd edition of the International Conference on AIDS and STIs in Africa, ICASA in Harare, are people living with HIV, and they all have stories to tell. Among them is Reverend Canon Professor Gideon Byamgisha of Uganda, the founding father of the International Network of Religious Leaders Living with or Personally Affected by HIV/AIDS in Relam. Reverend Byamgisha became the first African religious leader to publicly declare his HIV-positive status. His message is one of openness and unconditional love, acknowledging the role of science for people living with HIV.
I got to know I was positive in 1992, January. In 1998, I started treatment. Now, this is 2023, and my viral load is still undetectable for over 15 years. And in that period, because of the science, I married, after losing my first wife to AIDS, I married another lady who was positive. We delayed having children for 7 years. And when the science came, we put it into practice and had 2 children. One is 20, and the other one is 23, negative.
Inspired by Reverend Byamgisha, Reverend Maxwell Kapachao, who tested positive for HIV in 2004, founded the Zimbabwean chapter of Zimbabwe Network of People Living with HIV, Cinerela, and he says without antiretroviral treatment, he would be dead by now.
Enini ndofunga nguva ndikaenda pama-ARVs ndakanga ndakuenda mune inonzi AIDS stage. Anoti papa aiwa miri zvanga zvarema. Zvanga zvarwadza zvekuti wakutadza unzwisisa kuti pauri kuti makumbo mudumbu madai, pamuda kuti mudumbu musoro wadai, pakuita musanganiswa. Asi ndichiiswa pamishonga yama-ARVs, hongu mishonga yose ine ma-side effects. Asi izvozvo vana chiremba vaingoti kuti aiwa Kapachao zvinopera. And zvechokwadi my-side effects akapera ndikanyatsotanga kurarama.
40 years later, since the first reported cases of HIV, advancements in HIV treatment have thus enabled individuals taking and staying on treatment to lead longer and healthier lives, with Zimbabwe among the countries which have exceeded the UNAIDS 95-95-95 prevention targets. Abigail Tembo, ZBC News, Harare.
We'll take a short break and be right back with business. Stay tuned.
Murewa. Nyamzu.
sadza iri riri kunaka handiti ka. Saka sei usiri kudya huku mashura sadza naka kupfuura huku asi why but sadza iri rakabikwa nechibage cheNational Tested Seed. Ndosaka mamaster farmer achienda kuNational Tested Seed.
Shandisa mbeu dzemaguta NTS 51, NTS 45 kana NTS 43. Imbeu dzine early to medium maturity dzinokupa goho vakuru up to 10 tons per hectare. Zvakare ine high drought resistance. Manya pachitoro chiri pedyo newe ubate yako. Shandisa mbeu yesadza. National Tested Seed. Mbeu yehurudza.
Christmas is here. Buy bulk and save this Christmas at OK Mart. Get your 10 by 2 kg Azam self-raising flour for just $19.80. 6 by 1 liter Life UHT milk for just $7.30. 25 by 750 ml Sunlight dishwashing liquid for just $79.50. Bulk Super 4/4 for just $5.60 per kg. 10 kg pocket of potatoes for just $7.90 each. 6 by 1.25 liter Nyati sorghum beer for just $4. Christmas is here. Kisimusi yashika. Ikisimusi isifikile. OK Mart, my happy place.
Wildcat, untamed energy.
In the warm embrace of my nurturing mother, I was introduced to her cherished choice of beverage. Through every joy and challenge, it became our go-to. Now that I can make my own choices, I choose to pass on that love to the next generation. I love you, Mom.
This is the right choice, Zimbabwe.
Welcome back to our business update. Business owners and captains of industry have described government's move to extend the multi-currency regime as a major boost for business confidence in the economy.
The 2023 Zimbabwe National Chamber of Commerce ZNCC Business Review Conference held in Harare this Monday was mainly a post-mortem of the challenges and opportunities encountered by the business community in 2023. University of Zimbabwe lecturer and leading researcher Professor Albert Makoche Kanwa presented the 2023 State of Industry and Commerce Survey results, assessing how government policies are impacting on business confidence.
Overall, in terms of confidence, what we call business confidence, comparing 2022 and 2023, what we found is that most stakeholders are very positive in terms of the confidence going into 2024. Some of the reasons why they said so, the recent announcement that the Mount Currents will continue until 2030, and also the fact that the elections from their end were not that much disruptive as in the previous year.
ZNCC President Mr. Mike Kamgeremu said there are many positives from the latest survey results.
What has been noted is that some of the reasons why capacity utilization went up were access to foreign currency, which is through the auction system, which is quite commendable. And then on the flip side, there are those that recorded reduced capacity utilization, mainly because of the power situation that we face in the country. Some were also highlighting reasons like corruption.
Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe Governor Dr. John Mangudya underscored the importance of sustaining price and currency stability towards building business confidence.
So what we are going to do going forward into 2024 to maintain the course of strong stance on the monetary policy stance, in other words, tight monetary policy stance, which is complemented by the tight fiscal policies. And you should look at the budget as an instrument for development. That's the purpose of a budget. Otherwise, to raise resources in the economy for purpose of development.
Panel experts at the conference concurred that government needs to continue to deal with the overarching macroeconomic fundamentals such as public debt and exchange rate management so as to create a long-term stable economic operating environment. Owen Mandova, ZBC News, Harare.
We'll take a short break and be right back with sport. Stay tuned.
I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. I don't care if they know the truth about how much I care for you. I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. There's no
Show some love to your fabrics with Boom Bubble Plus washing powder with powerful dirt-fighting enzymes and special color protection, whiter whites and brighter colors. Boom, and the dirt is gone.
This holiday season at DSTV's got so much great entertainment. You, your family, and your guests will be spoiled for choice.
Always a tremendous atmosphere here. The treble winners are back.
Shoots and score. This is outstanding.
Celebrate Zimbabwean cuisine.
This is good now.
It doesn't matter who you're hosting.
We're family, and we can conquer anything.
We've got unbeatable shows for the whole neighborhood to choose from.
This thing just got better.
We're more than prepared for any assault.
We're actually great. We're really great. I can have my happily ever after.
It's just a lot, all the time.
We are all about giving you entertainment of your choice and options that suit your family. So stay connected to DSTV for the happiest holidays yet. DSTV, it's your moment.
Christmas is here in all Bon Marché stores. We have the best selection of all your grocery needs and occasions this Christmas. Get your 1 kg Farmer J's drumsticks for $4.50. Omo Auto Washing Powder 2 kg $8. Glazed Christmas ham 100 grams for 50 cents. Heineken Lager Silver NRB 330 ml for just $1.50. KWV Classic Chenin Blanc 750 ml for just $8. Christmas is here. Bon Marché. Simply good.
In the warm embrace of my nurturing mother, I was introduced to her cherished choice of beverage. Through every joy and challenge, it became our go-to. Now that I can make my own choices, I choose to pass on that love to the next generation. I love you, Mom.
This is the right choice, Zimbabwe.
And now in sport, former Highlanders coach Errol Akbe has been linked with a sensational return to the Bulawayo Giants.
After the departure of expatriate coach Baltema Brito, Highlanders have been left with a technical gap that have raised speculation on who will fill it. Highlanders decided to part ways with the Portuguese expatriate who appeared to have brought back lost pride to the club until a free-fall which started from match day 20. Highlanders had to let go the gaffer who was now doubling as interim coach for the national team after missing the set target of a championship crown or a second spot finish. Names have started being thrown in, and one of the front runners is Errol Akbe, who has since confirmed his availability to reunite with the Bulawayo Giants.
For me, it was very nice when I was first time in Zimbabwe, and also first time in Highlanders. It was very nice, good supporters, very exciting supporters, passionate. It was actually everything. It was very, very nice. If Highlanders need me, I'm there. There is no discussion about it.
Akbe, who was once in charge of Highlanders, has also coached 2023 Premier Soccer League champions against the Platinum Stars and has also worked as a scout for clubs in Ghana, Netherlands and Egypt. The owners of the game, the fans, have their own expectations regarding the technical void.
I'm born to move at wise from Highlanders who release Super, especially since we were for one season, but however bekumele iClub maybe izame uku-improve kwezinye indawo ade silekha khona njengoku maybe sithi i-support nika ama-players more support, more equipment.
Zama yena uMadinda lo Joel wakhe bobabili babe right.
Umbono wami laphana umuntu ongasikhokhelela kade semkhangelele ukuthi engazama simnike enye chance uCosmas Zulu uThana. Uye mbono ngani singamnike enye chance inxe ngasiphusha lathi ngani siya elokhozeni ezingene ngani liphezulu.
Mina ngeke ngikubale kakube nzima kangako bona abanade belayo vele uMadinda lo Joel uphahla hayi bembona kabe ku right.
Highlanders finished 5th with 55 points in the just ended season. Mthokozi Stube, ZBC News, Bulawayo.
Still in football, the National Foods School of Excellency training camp for girls got underway at Ellis Robbins School in Harare this Thursday, with the young girls hoping to hone their skills and get call-ups to the national team in the future.
The School of Excellence started as a regional initiative before it grew into a national camp that was launched on Monday in Harare. The initiative hopes to make an impact by teaching girls the basics of football and guiding their progress. The under 15, 17 and 20 female players are provided with their training gear and a safe place to hone their skills and connect with other girls who share the same passion.
Out of my comfort zone. I'm not used to socializing and being with like a group of people, but then being here, it made me be able to, be with other people, being able to create conversations and make friends whilst learning how to do basic life skills and football as well.
Under the guidance of experienced coaches and trainers, the girls are learning the fundamentals of football and developing their skills on the field.
This is a good platform. I can tell you that the moment kids come here and they're exposed to such training and they're exposed to such an environment of camp, group dynamics and all this can help a lot in terms of them coming into the national team, the Mighty Warriors. They are now confident, they've built their confidence in blocks, and then it's a good platform to shake off the stage fright.
It's not all about knowledge of school. You can also be a good player and you can excel through sports. Whichever sport, you can excel from that.
Apart from the basics of the game, they are also receiving mentorship on the mental and physical demands of the sport, as well as the importance of teamwork and sponsorship. The camp will run until the 22nd of this month. Anna Shemurombedzi, ZBC News, Harare.
The weather report and forecast up next.
Good evening, Zimbabwe. It's time for today's weather report and forecast. My name is Baba Market. We had cloudy conditions over the southern and southeastern parts of the country, as well as the extreme western parts of the country, while the central and northern parts of the country remained mostly sunny and temperatures were also in the warm to hot category. And for the forecast tomorrow, we're expecting mostly sunny conditions throughout the country, though we might see patches of cloud here and there. And for the temperatures in detail, we're expecting Harare to have a maximum of 34 and a minimum of 17 degrees Celsius, Bulawayo 35 and a minimum of 18 degrees Celsius, Gweru 34 and 17, Mutare 32 and 15, Kwekwe 37 and 15, Kadoma 38 and a minimum of 16 degrees Celsius. Mashingo should have a maximum of 35 and a minimum of 19, Chinoi 35 and 18, Lupane 39 and 23, Bindura 35 and 19, Marundra 33 and 10, while Gwanda should have a maximum of 37 and a minimum of 22 degrees Celsius. And for our major holiday resort areas, we're expecting Victoria Falls to have a maximum of 38 and a minimum of 23 degrees Celsius, Kariba 40 and a minimum of 25, Great Zimbabwe 35 and a minimum of 19, Nyanga 26 and a minimum of 12, Matopos 35 and a minimum of 20, Chimanimani should have a maximum of 27 and a minimum of 20 degrees Celsius. For our outlook, that is the weather for the day after tomorrow, we're expecting moisture to be drifting into the country, causing cloudy conditions over much of the country and thunderstorms over the western parts of the country, that is areas around Victoria, Lupane, as well as Matabele and South provinces. That's all from the Weather Desk, Zimbabwe. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Well, that brings us to the end of the bulletin.
Good night.
A very warm welcome to you, and thank you so much for joining us on this special program brought to you by Shelter Zimbabwe, Etosha Gardens, and Etosha Memorial Park. I'm currently joined by the Managing Director, Mr. Chester Mende. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, and welcome.
Now, I do appreciate that these three divisions are going to be coming together to eventually become a Shelter Incorporated. Maybe you could share with us some of the product offerings available from Shelter Zimbabwe, Etosha Gardens, and Etosha Memorial Park.
First and foremost, we are in the accommodation space. We are in housing, and all that equals shelter is another name. And we found shelter is the most attractive. So Shelter Incorporated will comprise of the three brands as you have given them: Shelter Zimbabwe, Etosha Memorial Park, and Etosha Gardens.
Now, the exciting thing that has come up is that all these three have come together. What has necessitated that?
Well, we are accommodation, and we have been historically accommodating the living. We have just introduced accommodation in the afterlife, and we thought that these being the common things, they all fall under one roof for easy delivery to their customers.
Mr. Mende, thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to speaking to you again in future.
Thank you for having me.
Well, there you have it, Shelter Zimbabwe, Etosha Gardens, and Etosha Memorial Park coming together to what will then be called Shelter Incorporated. That's all the time that we had today. Please take advantage of all the social media platforms available on the screen to be able to access some of their services. For now, that's all. Pleasant viewing.
Welcome to Constituency Indaba, a program where we look at what is happening across the country's constituencies. 15 Citizen Coalition for Change CCC legislators were recalled from National Assembly by their Interim Secretary General Sengezo Chabangu after they ceased to be members of the opposition.